Hey, last night, I'm sure you noticed I put up a video showing how to clear Expert 15 with a strike build. It was obviously quite the ordeal. I know some people have suggested drastic stuff like getting the Dragon Balls and resetting your build. You don't have to do that. It probably will make it a little smoother, but this is how I did it. I take no credit for this. I found at least a little bit of this build off the Reddit forum that they have for this. Let me go ahead and show it right now. Now, I'm not going to show the whole fight because, there is a chance that it will fail, and I also showed it yesterday. But what I'm going to do is I'll show how to do it, how to fight one boss. And then you guys can refer to the clear that I did yesterday if you want the full thing. Now, my QQ Bang, honestly, it does not make much difference with this. I've already went over this before, but it does help to have the extra stamina. The stamina comes in handy because you can use it to use your evasive skills, your Vanisher Guard, pretty much whenever you need to. You're pretty much going to be playing the support. You will be doing a pretty significant amount of damage, but the bots are going to be the ones that will be distracting the boss and allow you to do damage and put your buff on pretty much every single time that the cooldown runs out or the duration runs out. So I would suggest getting a QQ Bang that at least helps with stamina and strike supers. I went over the recipe that I used in my last video about my build, so there's not a whole lot else to say there. Now for your skills or your moveset, you're going to want pretty much what I have here. Super Guard is nice. If you get stuck by the blue ball attack, this is probably the best way to reduce damage, but due to how you're pretty much going to be doing long animations the whole fight, I haven't really found much use for it. Honestly, it does help when they do the blade attack, but you can also use your Vanisher Guard, since you're not really going to be directly fighting at all until you get teleported out to fight the other mini-bosses. I don't know how much use this is going to have. You could probably put something else here. Maximum Charge is a no-brainer. With this build, you're pretty much just going to be casting non-stop, so it's not really going to matter whatever else you use. Hero's Pose, I don't know if this is the best one to use, but this is what you use to proc the Super Soul. Let me go over that really quick, since I forgot to. And the Super Soul shortens the revive time, and whenever you're awakened, if you're using like Potential Unleashed or SSJ or anything like that, and you use a buff at the same time, everyone gets a pretty significant health recovery. Now, it only lasts a few seconds, so you'll have to pay attention to the little icon by your health bar. That will tell you when it's about to expire. I found that if I had it on pretty much all the time, every time it went off duration or cooldown, if I put it on again, then the health regen was enough to kind of override whatever bullshit the boss can do. And even if it doesn't, you'll have the bots will go and revive the other bots, and you'll be healing them at the same time. So you can focus on keeping them healed that way. Now, the way that you get this is it's definitely a nightmare. What you have to do is you have to give birth to all the Majin Buu kids, or feed Majin Buu so that he gives birth to his kids. Only the red kids can give you Super Souls, and apparently if you feed them 5 times, then there's a chance that they'll change color, and you can't control which color they are. So ideally, if you get lucky, maybe you can get like 2, 3, or even 4 of the kids red. So that way, every 3 missions that you clear, you can even do the mentor missions if you haven't done those yet, and you can kind of refresh them when they come back. Only the red ones will give you a chance to get the Super Soul. It took me a couple hours of grinding to get this, but it actually made it relatively easy. I'm sure you saw yesterday, the main issue I had was just the bosses were being dicks. They were spamming a lot of their gimmicks really often, which eats up a lot of time. The only real challenge was just the time limit at that point. But there is quite a bit of luck involved with how much they spam the gimmicks and stuff like that. As far as I know, Janemba doing his warp gimmick, I think that's scripted. I mean, it happened to me 2 or 3 times. But after that, he also did a Ki Blast, which just made things even more unlucky. So I don't know, how many times it will take to do this, but with this, you'll have a pretty significant amount of leeway. Let me go over the rest of the moveset. The hero's pose increases all abilities. I guess it helps with the strike damage, so when you're spamming the Death Meteor, it will probably do more damage. I'll have to experiment with the other ones, but obviously some of these are pretty useless. Like having the staggering or those hyper armor. I hear that this got nerfed significantly from the first one, so if you don't use Hero's Pose, you could probably use something like your strike moves growing stronger. I don't know how much difference that will make. I'll have to go into training mode and see what the actual statistical difference is. Super Mad Dance is nice. Most of your melee stuff, anything that's not Death Meteor, is pretty much just going to be for when Janemba summons you back and you have to fight 2 bosses. You'll have to go through 2 zones, like you saw in the video. So it helps to have, you know, Justice Combo and Super Mad Dance, especially if you're in Potential Unleashed. Super Mad Dance will extend to 5 hits and do a pretty significant amount of damage. You can't really be messing around with stylish stuff in this, so you're going to have to just go through it quickly. Vanisher Guard, like I said, is really nice to have, especially since you're not going to be directly fighting anyone at all, aside from when you get pushed back by Janemba. So it's nice to have this. You can hold it for more invincibility. Even if you do take some damage from the blades, as long as you put this on as fast as possible, and then you go back into your buff, then you'll get pretty much all the health back. So I'm going to go ahead, and while I still have time, I am limited by the 15-minute limit, since I still don't have a capture card that I can use at the moment. I'm just going to go ahead and fight one boss, so you guys can see how it works with commentary. If you want to see the full clear, you can refer to the video I did yesterday. I will go ahead and I'll link to the Reddit post that gave me the idea for how to do this, for reference if you want it in written form. What I should mention is that the reason I'm doing this offline is that it's bugged. The giant Ki Blast, like, they don't really function properly online. Sometimes you can send them back, sometimes you can't. Even with the bots, I'd say you probably have like an 80 or 90% chance of them sending them back. So you'll want to do it offline. Doing it online is basically a crapshoot because it seems like there's some kind of bug with the Ki Blast where the mechanic does not work properly. So just do it offline. The bots almost always will send it back. I had one run where they didn't do it, but I'm not sure how often that happens. But for the most part, I've seen them send it back pretty much every time. So when you start, you're going to get your maximum charge up. Put your Potential Unleashed on, and then go straight to your Hero's Pose. At this point, you just spam Death Meteor, and when you see the little red buff icon fade out, then you want to put on your pose again. And you can pay attention to their health bar. It's actually getting a pretty significant amount of health back. So even though you're not directly fighting, you're actually doing a pretty significant amount of damage.
If you let yourself be defeated, you wouldn't have to suffer.
Even though they're getting hit by the blue ball attack, they're getting pretty much all their health back. Kind of like playing a support class in an MMO, basically. The bosses will basically dodge all basic attacks unless something else staggers them. So it's not even really worth going up front, just going up close. You can see their health's in pretty good shape, even though they're being punished a lot.
Get in my way. Kill. I'll kill you!
Basically, since the bots will just keep attempting to basic attack the bosses, you pretty much will hit them with Death Meteor almost every time. Do a pretty significant amount of damage. So sometimes they won't throw the key blast, and sometimes they will. But regardless, you have a pretty good chance of the bots taking it back for you without you having to spec anything. Because I found it is quite nice to have the some melee moves equipped, because you will have to do some fighting later on. So as you can see there, they sent it back pretty easily.
No! No!
So that's pretty much how you do it. The strategy does not change, basically. There's definitely quite a bit of luck involved, because you will have to, you know, manage with the how often they do the key blast and stuff like that. Sometimes the AI won't send it back, but I've only had that happen like once or twice. The chances of it happening is pretty high. Basically, you could put on something else to help send the key blast back and give it a little more of a success rate, but then you're going to be struggling when you have to fight the two mini bosses to get back to the boss area. So I found that this worked pretty well for me. You saw how well it worked in the last video. The main issue was just I didn't get too lucky that run. I had to do a lot of key blast spamming, and that eats up like at least 30-40 seconds every time they do it. But yeah, that should help. If you want to see the full clear, you can go ahead and refer to my video from yesterday. I will go ahead and link to the post on Reddit so that you guys can have it in written form, and then you can kind of tweak it to what I have. So like I said, you will not have to do anything crazy like respec your build or anything like that. You'll just have to play in a very unconventional and honestly pretty boring way. And once you clear this, the other expert missions are pretty easy, so you can use those to farm TP medals. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.